Hello everyone, and welcome to the second video in this series of Dalinga, Flowbytes Dalinga. In the previous video, we have signed up and then we logged in here. But actually, we stay logged in until we log out from the system. And here you can see the version of Flowbytes. It's 1.1.9. By the way, also you can see it here. Okay, we're going to put the version here so you can see which version we have. And because Dalinga is made with Flutter, and the Flutter for the web use Progress web app, so you have to refresh sometimes to get the latest version. But when you see the version here is different, then you have to know that you have to refresh your IDE so that you can get the latest version. Okay, in this video, we're going to see the table editor. We go to our database, relational database, taxi database, and then we go to the drivers table, edit. When we edit, you can see, first of all, that you can actually move the fields places as you wish, up and down from here, from this anchor or this handle. But very important, if you are using a field, you are using it in Dalinga function, it has to be first. The field that you are using, Dalinga function that uses that field, it has to be previous to that function that uses it. For example, here in the full name, we use gender. If gender is male, then give us male name. Otherwise, give us female name. So this is wrong to make the field that uses the field gender below the, it has to be below the gender, but it can be before that. So the gender can't be here. The gender, it cannot be after the field that uses it. It has to be previous. This is one rule you have to know. And so because we use the gender in many places, we use it here in the switch of photo, and we use it in the full name. So the gender has to be in the first thing. And then also notice that works at is a field that gives us a company, and we use it in the notes. We say concat the full name. Full name is here. Let us make the full name just after the gender. So we use the full name. So the full name has to be before the notes, because the notes uses the full name. And uses also works at. The field works at, which is a company. So this order is very important. When you are defining a field and you want to use it in Dalinga functions below, then that field has to be up. So if you make like this is absolutely wrong. You put the gender in the last place of the table, but you are using it in the full name. And you're using it also in the photo, if the gender is male. So it has to be in the top. It doesn't have to be before the ID, even though you can make that because no one is using the other. The gender is not using the ID and the ID is not using the gender. So it can be like this, but it makes sense to make the ID just in the beginning of the table. So this is how to order your table in the editor. Here, you can change the table name. When you press edit, you edit the table here, but when you press edit here, you actually change the table name from drivers to staff, for example. So it's changed it here, it's changed it here as well. Here you put the number of records that you want, 300. 1,000, 2,000, any number of words, records you want. We will put it 3 just to show how it works, and then we will save. It will tell us table saved successfully. Then if we go to this URL, which is coming from ide.flowbytes.com/API-PDO.php, and then the method is URL run, the method, and the DB name, the database name is taxi, and the TB name, the table name is drivers. But actually, we don't have drivers right now because we changed the name to staff, and then user ID is 4. So if we did refresh, it will give us nothing. Why? Because we changed the table name from drivers to staff. So we have to put here in the TB name, staff. Okay, and then enter. I think we have to put it case sensitive. So it gives us three records. ID 1, gender male, full name is Michael James. Why Michael? Because he's male. Look at this one. The gender is female. The first name is Sandra. The last name is Paul. And then works at Lisa Manufacturing Ltd. And then the email, Sandra Paul, because the email, what is the rule? What is the generation rule for email? Email is a concatenation of, first of all, lowercase to the full name, and then replace any space with null, and then concatenate with @ and then take the domain from the fields works at. Works at is a company. So works at is a company, which is Lisa Manufacturing Ltd. So the domain from this one is, it will take, actually the rule is, I'm going to tell you the secret. It will take the first and second one, lower them, replace any white space with null, and then add .com to it. That's the function domain. It's a Dalinga function. You give it a string. It will take the first 2 strings and then lower them and then add .com to it. So this is the domain. That's why we have here lisamanufacturing.com. It's the same company name. Yeah. And the photo is switch gender. If gender is male, give us photo men. If gender is female, give us photo women. Default, give us none. We have to add default, but we will change the Dalinga engine just to ignore the default if it is not provided, just to ignore it. But for the time being, we have to use the default for the switch function. And from here, you can change the locale. For example, let me save this. So first of all, let me save it. You can change the locale, for example, to Turkish, and then save. And when we save, we can go here and refresh. And guess what? It gives us in a locale of Turkish. For example, here is Osman Ata, and this Oscar Deniz. So it is Turkish names. It gives us Turkish names from the Turkish locale. So that's how this editor works. And also you can change the format to XML and save it. And then if we go here and refresh, it will give us XML instead of JSON. We can also change to HTML, save that, come here and just refresh, and it gives us the data in HTML. And we can change to CSV, save, go here and refresh, and we have the data in comma separated value format. We can try the last one, which is SQL, save, and then refresh, and we have the table schema with the data. So drop table if exists, create the table, and then insert the 3 rows. We can take this now, copy, and we can go to our database and run it, and it will insert. It will first create, drop it if it exists, and then create the table, and then insert all the data in the table. So this is how this works. You can, from here, you can delete some fields, and you can also add some fields. For example, I can add a field called car, and I will use Dalinga functions called car brand. Car brand, save, and go to the HTML, save it, HTML format, and then refresh, and we have the car, Subaru, Jeep, Dino, things like that. So you can add fields from here. You delete fields. You also can change the location of the fields from a place to place, like this. It's very easy. We will dive deep also in this Dalinga functions more and more in the next videos. So thank you very much for your attention.